Welcome into another episode of the Butt and Breneman Show, and we appreciate all of you guys' support. If you're a fan of our show, then you're in for a treat today because Adam Breneman, Penn State alum, supports the blue and white, and ever since the schedule got released, we've all had this game circled. The Oregon Ducks traveling across the United States into Happy Valley, whiteout night game against the Penn State and Nittany Lions. We normally end our show with the Fansville Hype Man moment. But I want to give you the floor, Adam, because I do believe I have a hunch of who you're going to be picking this week. Give it to me. Who's your Fansville hype man?
Jake, I'm the Fansville hype man for this game. And I should be wearing all white, but it's me and every Penn State alum and every Penn State fan who has gone through years of losing the big game. It's all going to change because the script could not be written better for Penn State. You have the greatest environment in college football and a true whiteout, not like the whiteout against Auburn a few years ago at 3:30. This is a true night game whiteout, like it's supposed to be, injected in my veins. You have Penn State coming off a bye week. You have an Oregon team that has a young quarterback who hasn't seen an environment like this, who hasn't been on the road in this type of setting. You have Drew Aller, who needs to have a great performance in this game. The key to this game is going to be that environment at Penn State. Can Penn State make it extremely challenging for Oregon to communicate on offense and on defense, in the run game and the pass game, all four quarters, pass and run, special teams, kickoffs, punt return, injury, timeout, everything? Can you have an environment that is the most challenging to play in? So the Penn State fans are the key to this game. There's so much to dive into, so many great players in this game. Matchups between Will Stein and Jim Knowles and Andy Kotelnicki and Tosh Lupoi. It's going to be unbelievable to watch. I have a lot of thoughts about it, but Jake, this environment is going to be fun to see on Saturday night.
Yeah, so I've obviously been the road team in this environment. 2013 was a night game, triple overtime, just a complete banger of a game between Michigan and Penn State. I was there for 2015, kind of the half whiteout, like you're saying, because it was an afternoon kick. It wasn't a night game. But I could just assure you to our fans at home, if I'm here and the tackle is here, we can't talk to each other. I can't say, hey, watch out, tackle, the blitz is coming outside. The tackle can't say, hey, Jake, the linebacker. You cannot hear from even a foot or two away from one another. So the communication is going to be critical. And I know the Nittany Lion fans are going to be fired up for this one. This is how it's been years where Penn State has been saying, we want the biggest game on our schedule to be a night game whiteout. And I think the fans of college football get a chance they win because of that. Adam, just to get into the X's and O's real quick, I'll kick it right back to you after this. Oregon has been phenomenal on offense. Everything's worked with Will Stein. They can run the ball. They can throw the ball. They have a great screen game. They have a great play action game. The foundation that's made all of it work, though, has been the offensive line. They've been able to dominate teams up front. They're 5 or 6 deep at running back. They do a ton of motions and shifts. But on the road, and we've seen this is a theme across all of college football, young quarterbacks in their first start on the road have struggled. Why? It's not just the quarterback. Now let's put you in a 3rd and 7 situation, and let's say you're Isaiah World or Alex Harkey, the 2 tackles for the Oregon Ducks, and the crowd is rocking. They do the Nittany Lion roar, the row row, and now everybody's fired up and excited. And Denai Dennis Sutton is outside of you, and Chaz Coleman is outside of you. You're going backwards, but you cannot hear the snap count. Also, as a tackle, you're not allowed to look at the football. You have to look at your man and anticipate the snap count. But Denai Dennis Sutton and Chaz Coleman, they get to look at the ball. So that's like a 10 to 15 to 20% swing advantage into Penn State's defensive line. Dante Moore, he has not faced the defensive line or pressure package like what he's about to see this weekend. Oregon's run game has not faced the defensive front like what they're going to see this weekend. This is a whole different level of challenge. But I believe Oregon will be ready for it, though. I believe Oregon will be ready. It's just going to be a great game. Yeah. I cannot wait to watch.
The fun factor of it, too, the chess match between Jim Knowles and Will Stein, they faced each other 2 times last year when Jim Knowles was the defensive coordinator at Ohio State. Will Stein got the best of Jim Knowles in their first matchup, and then Jim Knowles completely compressed Will Stein in Pasadena then at the end of the season. So Jim Knowles knows what this Oregon offense tries to do. He understands Will Stein. I think Oregon's going to have success on offense. I don't know if they're going to have 40 points of success, but we know Oregon at some point in this game is going to be able to move the football with all the playmakers they have and score points. I don't see this being a 17-10 game. Oregon's going to score points. So to me, Jake, this game comes down to Drew Aller.
Mm-hmm.
Drew Aller needs to step up and win a game for Penn State. I think back to the last time Drew Aller won a game for Penn State. I think about USC last year. On the road, Drew Aller threw for 250-plus yards. Yep. It's been 10-plus games since Drew Aller's thrown for 250-plus.
Yeah.
Penn State, there's a world in this game where Penn State runs for 250 and loses the game to Oregon. Penn State ran for 300 yards last year in the Big Ten championship game and lost to Oregon in that game. So just because Penn State runs the football in this game doesn't mean they're guaranteed to win. Penn State's offense right now, with their brutal schedule going into this year, is 100th or 98th or something in the nation in explosive passing. They're 2 of 9 on throws over 20 yards. They're 80th in the country, 88th in red zone offense. This is about Drew Aller winning the game, not just for Penn State, but winning a game for himself, for his confidence, for the rest of the year. Penn State wants to go run the table and win a national championship. Drew Aller has to win a game like this, and he has to do it with his arm, because if I'm Tosh Lupoi, I'm saying we're stopping the Penn State run game, and we're going to force Drew Aller and Trevor Pena and Kyron Hudson and Devontae Ross to beat us on the outside.
And Luke Reynolds.
To beat us on the outside. If I'm Tosh Lupoi, I'm putting my young corners, Brandon Finney, Kennedy, all those guys. We're more athletic than Penn State is on the outside. So let's force them to throw the ball to beat us. I think this game comes down to Drew Aller. I think it is a grow-up game for Drew Aller. And if he finds a way to win this game, if he throws for 200-some yards and 2 or 3 touchdowns, we will talk about Drew Aller a lot differently for the rest of the season. There's no doubt about it.
You ever watch Game of Thrones? You ever get into the show?
I've never watched Game of Thrones, and I have a feeling you're going to cook me for it. Are you a Game of Thrones guy? I didn't see that out of you.
It's the greatest show, bar none. There's a lot of drama about how the show finished in the last season, and it didn't finish strong, but it's the greatest show, bar none. But
I should check it out.
You should check it out. I know you're busy, so I don't know if you'll have time, but there's a guy in the show named Jon Snow, and the show is all about like prophecy and timelines and politics, and there's this guy, Jon Snow, who faces a ton of adversity, but clearly has all the potential in the world. And he is the prince that was promised. That's Drew Aller right here. A guy that has all the potential in the world, but has faced a little bit of adversity. And now basically the Penn State's season and Penn State's success and Penn State, their ability to win this game or not, rides on the shoulders of Drew Aller's ability to make plays. I don't think he needs to throw for 400 yards, but when it's 3rd and 7, can he put the ball on the money in a tight window to one of his weapons? And can they come down with it in tight coverage? Oregon secondary, they rotate a lot of freshmen and redshirt freshmen. There is youth in the secondary, but they have not shown it this year. They're athletic. They're track guys. They play with great sound fundamentals. They study. I mean, I've called 2 Oregon games. They talk about those defensive backs. They're a professional organization, even though these guys are 18, 19 years old. So they're going to be ready. Can Drew Aller make plays in the biggest moment? That's why he was brought to Penn State.
Yeah, 100%. Well said. Can I give you a couple more matchups
of
players?
Go for it.
How about AJ Harris, Penn State's corner, who's just been unreal this year? No one even throws at him. Yeah. They're going against Decorian Moore. That's going to be a fun matchup. How does AJ Harris step up? He's got potential to be a first-round corner for Penn State. What's that matchup look like? I'm going to watch Oregon tight end Kenyon Sadiq.
I want to piggyback off that real quick, though, off the AJ Harris.
Yep.
Dante Moore is the best quarterback that I've seen this year at throwing back shoulder fades. He was 5 for 5 against Oregon. That's something most quarterbacks cannot do, and it's not just to one guy. It's not just to Decorian Moore. It's not just to Malik Benson. Dante throws, when it's press coverage one-on-one, man-to-man, Dante's going to throw a back shoulder fade at AJ Harris and say, I believe we're better than you. So that just adds to the stakes of your matchup. But go ahead, Kenyon Sadiq.
It's a great point. Yeah, I know you and I would love Kenyon Sadiq. I mean, you've called a couple of his games. He's such a willing and physical blocker. He's so good in space. He understands leverage in blocking and route running. I think he'll play a big role in this game, in the run game and also the pass game against Penn State. I'm excited to see Kenyon Sadiq play in this one. Jake, one of these games has to go Penn State's way. It just has to. At some point, one of them has to go for Penn State. You think about the big games, and when I think big game, I think Michigan, Ohio State, Oregon playoff game, Big Ten championship.
Yep.
One of these has to go their way. They have to show up in one of these games. This is the best script you could write for Penn State going into it. I'm a big fan of James Franklin. He's a big fan of you and I, Jake. I got to say the stat. He's 4-20 against top 10 teams at Penn State.
Yeah.
This is the best setup Penn State has to win a game like this. It's got to happen this weekend.
I believe I was doing, well, I know I was doing a radio hit yesterday, and I believe when this conversation has come up, there's two camps. One is that, James Franklin has fallen short in these matchups, which is an objective truth. But the other one is James Franklin is actually the most fairly rated coach, because of those 4 wins were the 4 times he was the higher ranked team. The 20 losses, he was the lower rate. So he's always won the games that he's supposed to win, and he's lost the games where he's been the underdog. This time, they're home. They followed the same model that Ohio State and Michigan did to win their national title, bringing back veteran players and investing into their roster and coaching staff. So there is no excuse. And special teams, I think, will once again play a major factor. Field position in these games, who can get who backed up, turnovers. This is, if you're a fan, this is a preview of a national title. I mean, basically, at the end of the day, come Saturday night at midnight, every Penn State Nittany Lion and James Franklin and that staff, and it'll be the same for Oregon, they will say, did our play today reflect a team that is going to compete for a national title? And if the answer is yes, then I believe Penn State will have a good chance to come out on top. But if you don't have anything else, let's get a score prediction in.
I'm going Penn State 27-24.
Give me a little bit there. Why? What's the key? What happens?
Oh, I mean, I just gave you a lot of keys. Penn State 27-24.
Last second field goal, though?
I'll go last second field goal on that to win the game. It's going to be a tight one. It's going to come down to the final possession of the game, maybe who has the ball last. I think Drew Aller shows up in this game and plays really well. I think that the risk Penn State took in having 3 week games and a bye week before this game pays off. I don't think they go down big in this game like they did in the Big Ten championship game. That was the big issue. Penn State went down 18 points early in the Big Ten championship game last year and then came back. I think Penn State comes out hot. Drew Aller plays really well. Oregon's able to move the football on offense, but Penn State's able to get enough stops. It's a tough environment for Dante Moore, and Penn State wins on a game-winning field goal. I really think a lot of the script here lines up well for Penn State. Coming off the bye, they're fresh. And listen, if you're Drew Aller, if you're James Franklin in that locker room, they know that they need to win this game. Yeah. And I think Franklin's had enough experience in these to know what works and what hasn't worked for him in these major games that everyone's watching that you have to win. And, Franklin for a long time has played the mindset of kind of treating every game like it's the same, that, hey, it's 1-0 this week.
It's not the same.
I don't know this to be a fact, but I would expect that it's not the same in that Penn State program this week, in the last 2 weeks. They didn't have a bye week. They had 2 weeks to prep for Oregon.
Yeah. No, I just wanted to, man, I can't get enough of your talk. I know you know Penn State, physically, emotionally.
Well, I want to hear your pick, because you're the voice of the Ducks. You got you called 2 games so far. You know Oregon a lot better than I know Oregon. So tell me about it. What
I do. Man, listen, Will Stein, I think, will win the Broyles Award, and if not, he's going to be a finalist. He's just been an unbelievable play caller. Yeah. Dante Moore, I think, is more talented than Dylan Gabriel and Bo Nix. The hard thing about playing Oregon's offense is, you've heard great defensive coordinators. Bill Belichick says that we got to take away their one strength. There is no one strength. They literally have 5 to 6 different running backs. They have power backs that also have speed. They have speed backs that run with power. They have a tight end that is runs 23 miles an hour on the GPS, 42-inch vert, dominant blocker. They have, I want to say they have 8 different players with 2+ touchdowns on the season. So there's no one guy to take away. It's a multiple offense, and Stein does a great job of calling plays that forces you to defend everything. The only weakness at this point is they've shown some leakiness in their rushing defense. They got great pass rushers, though. Mateo Uiagalelei, he's got a dynamic spin move, man. A guy that's 275 pounds to be able to hit a spin move off both sides as effortlessly as he does, it's dangerous. I could see this going both ways, man. You could convince me, either team, but I'm gonna go with the Ducks. I think the Ducks win 31-27, a really, really close game. And I believe it's predicated on the team that this is what I know for sure. The team that finishes with more rushing yards on the day will win the game.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. And James, his record coming off a bye, it's not like he's 90+ win percentage.
Yeah, it's
either,
not the best.
Yeah. Well, here's the good thing. That's Saturday night. But there's bangers of games all day long. We'll get to Washington, Ohio State in a second. I got to give you my Fansville hype moment, and it's going to be the Indiana Hoosiers. My goodness. Why are you, we, me, he, she, anybody doubting Kurt Cignetti? This is not a fluke. This roster is full of, they got an NFL quarterback that's a day one, day two pick. They got Elijah Surratt, day two pick. They have NFL linemen, NFL running backs, NFL players on their defense. And that was just a complete and utter beatdown in all three phases, offense, defense, special teams against Illinois. Here's why I'm choosing them, though. Indiana versus Illinois. Illinois is the exact inverse of Iowa as a football team. So Indiana played Illinois at home. Now you're going to Kinnick on the road. That's a place that breaks hearts. I know this from personal experience. Illinois' defense, aggressive and play as much man-to-man. I believe they have the #1 rate of man-to-man in the Power Four. They're also like top 5 in pressure rate in the Power Four. Well, Iowa, they play zone coverage and they don't run a ton of exotic pressures. The other thing is Illinois' secondary was extremely beat up. Iowa's secondary, healthy relatively, and they don't give up a ton of plays. Illinois' offensive line really, really struggled, could not protect Altmaier. Iowa has the highest graded offensive line per PFF in all of college football. So this is a completely, literally completely different matchup for the Hoosiers. And there's always that risk of coming off an emotional victory. You gotta keep your emotions high and be focused up. And Cignetti said it. Iowa does not beat themselves. So this is a big time matchup for the Hoosiers once again, because there's no reason they can't be a playoff team, if not compete for the Big Ten title.
Yeah, I like it. What a game for Mendoza and Indiana last Saturday. I mean, not to look back too much, and if you're Illinois, we'll talk about Illinois USC in a second. I mean, to just get embarrassed like that on the national stage. I'm sorry for our producer Alex Rue, but it honestly was a tough watch come the second quarter. But for Fernando Mendoza in this game against Iowa, Mendoza's been flawless so far, but Iowa feasts on the mistakes, the short fields. If Indiana and Mendoza can keep that turnover column clean, I think they'll leave Iowa City with another huge win. And if not, we know that Iowa's defense and their crowd can flip a game on its head no matter what's happening with the turnover. It's just cool. I love a good story, man. Fernando Mendoza went from an afterthought to most efficient, one of the most prolific quarterbacks in college football right now. 14 touchdowns, no interceptions, making history out there. It's fun to watch. And a lot of people wrote off Indiana. Not wrote off, but didn't think about them coming into this season. Now they're one of the best teams in the conference.
Yeah, and for the Hawkeyes, I have not seen a Iowa quarterback play as free and as confident as I saw Gronowski play on the road against Rutgers. It looked completely different. I think Tim Lester is probably the most underrated play caller in all of college football right now because of what he has to work with. So this is going to be a fun matchup. All right, 3:30 Eastern. The Ohio State Buckeyes, coming off a bye, traveling all the way out to the Pacific Northwest to play a red-hot, unranked Washington Husky football team. How are they unranked? I do not know. I mean, all their advanced metrics offensively, they're one of the best teams in college football. Jed Fish, a great play caller. Damon Williams, extremely dangerous. Matt Patricia compared him to Kyler Murray. I do believe Damon Williams is the type of quarterback that wakes you jolt up in the middle of the night in a cold sweat if you're a defensive coordinator, because he's so slippery, so fast, so agile, so dynamic. You can call the perfect play and he'll still find a way to make you pay. And the Huskies have not lost at home since 2021. The same narrative applies for Julian Sand, who has been pinpoint accurate, Olympic archer level accurate, but he's a redshirt freshman first road start in one of the toughest places to play in all of college football. Give me anything you got for this game. What are you looking to see?
I so badly want to pick Washington in this game. So
Yeah.
bad. I mean, I was looking at all the stats, trying to find my angle. The angle, if you pick Washington, is saying Julian Sayin is going to struggle in his first road test. How does Julian Sayin play? Does he turn the football over? Does he struggle? I don't think Julian Sayin is going to put up a Heisman Trophy performance against Washington, but Ohio State's too good, man. They're too good. I'm taking Ohio State in this game. Washington will land some early shots. Damon Williams, his dual threat ability, the balance of that offense, the explosiveness, it will energize Husky Stadium. It's not going to be an easy game. But over 4 quarters, Ohio State's depth and their physicality is going to take over in this game. The Buckeyes secondary has the athletes to keep Washington from hitting those explosive shots consistently after play after play. And then Ryan Day is going to have his quarterback settled in at some point in this game. I'll take Ohio State by 10 points in this one, but it's going to be a close game. And Washington will put up more points than anyone else has against Ohio State this season.
Yeah, Ryan Walters is the defensive coordinator for the Huskies. He taught Aaron Henry, Illinois' defensive coordinator. It's that unique system. They play a ton of press man, and they bring 5-man pressure at you all day long. Most defensive coordinators would never think to do such a thing against Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate and Max Clare and those Ohio State weapons. So I'm interested to see the chess match. I believe this has the chance to be a shootout. And I don't know that I trust Washington's defense to get a critical stop, but I also don't know if I trust Julian Sayin to not stop himself just because of the trend of young quarterbacks struggling on the road. Yeah. This, to me, is a much bigger test for Ohio State's defense than Texas week 1. Much bigger test. Damon Williams is in a different class than Arch Manning. Denzel Boston is a All-American type talent. Jonah Coleman's the best running back in all of college football. Jed Fish has completely upgraded and turned around the Husky offensive line. Here's the chess match, though. Damon, with his legs, Jed Fish told me that he didn't say, he's the fastest quarterback on the team. He said he's the fastest player on our team. He's that fast at quarterback. Caleb Downs is the antidote. He's the vaccine to prevent quarterback talent because you can have a quarterback spy with the speed and instincts to slow down Damon Williams, and Caleb does not miss tackles in open space. The other one would be Arvell Reese. So it's the chess match between Matt Patricia and how they try to bottle up Damon Williams. But boy, is this a big test. I don't know how the Huskies aren't ranked. They've looked great. So we're working our way back. Jake, the Huskies were my Fansville hype man last week, so I mean, I got to get some credit for that, right? Yes. You were early and you were often.
I was early on the Washington train.
Who'd you pick? You picked Ohio State to win.
Ohio State to win. Yeah, I said by 10 points.
I got Huskies winning by like 2 or 3.
Stop. Yes. No, you're picking the Huskies.
Yeah. I'm picking the Huskies, man. Wow. They do not lose at home. They did 2021. This is. Bren, when you get out there for your first, when you get to experience that booth and that atmosphere and that fan base, you will be blown away. They do not lose at home. And I do think this is just that Texas win with context is looking completely different than what we thought. Arch Manning struck. I don't want to, first off, I'm sorry, Ohio State, I do not want to discredit you guys. I believe you should be ranked number 1 in college football. I just think this is a much bigger test. I think the Huskies, this is a program win for them.
I feel like you just casually picked the number 1 team in the country to lose to Washington, which I like.
I'm picking. It's less about that, and it's more about Washington's history at home and Damon Williams as a playmaker. But I mean, this is another one. Either way it could go. So night game is Oregon, Penn State. Afternoon slot, you got Ohio State, Washington, and then the big noon kickoff as we put a bow on this show. Illinois, USC. Talk about a bounce back opportunity for the Fighting Illini. Very tough news. Xavier Scott going to be out for the season. It sounds like the Illinois secondary is beat up. Here's a key stat for you, Bren. I believe Indiana had 5 sacks on Illinois. The Illinois offensive line, I've said this for a number of weeks now, will decide what this season is for the Fighting Illini. USC, number 2 in all of college football in sacks this year. Danton Lynn's pressure package is something that is scary and intimidating. So this is, for me, the key to this game, Bren, is the game plan from Brett Bielema and Aaron Henry, the defensive coordinator. One, it's how do I refocus and emotionally get my team back on track? Because one loss, it only counts as one loss. Who cares how it looked? Yeah, it's only one loss. But so how do you get your team emotionally back on track? But then I believe they have to make adjustments. With USC's pressure package, you can't just sit back there and drop back all day. You need to have chips and screens, and you need to have a game plan. And then with how much they run pressure, Illinois' defense blitzes you and plays man-to-man coverage. You cannot do that with a beat-up secondary against Jaden Mayava and Makai Lemon and Lake McCree and all these Trojan weapons. So this to me is a coaching game for Brett Bielema, Aaron Henry, and the Fighting Illini staff.
Yeah, I agree for Illinois. On the other side, for USC, this is a prove-it game for Lincoln Riley and the Trojans. I mean, USC has put up video game numbers this season, 50-some points a game and 600 yards of offense. Jaden Mayava is leading the country in passing efficiency and yards per attempt.
Yes.
But for a long time, when Lincoln Riley's teams faced a ranked or a good opponent, they've stumbled, and their offense hasn't been quite as explosive. Illinois, just as you said, gets embarrassed by Indiana, but Brett Bielema's teams don't stay down very long, especially at home where they've been really good. So,
and USC has struggled on the road.
And they've struggled on the road in these long road trips from the West Coast. If USC really wants to shake the narrative of being soft against good teams, this is the type of road test they have to go handle and play well on offense and on defense and get a solid victory on the road.
That's what this is. If USC finds a way to pull this one off, I mean, I believe they are a playoff contender because of their talent, but you pull this one off, then that'll be the national narrative. And then if Illinois bounces back, they're right back in the fight. I want to give a shout out to Wayman Jordan, USC's running back. This is one of the main reasons I'm high on the Trojans. He was the top JUCO transfer in the 2025 class. He's averaging nearly 8 yards a carry on the season right now. So the Trojans have found much more balance offensively. The run game's going, and they're getting pressure on quarterbacks. So just can we just bathe in excitement for what this weekend's going to be? How many great games there is. Holy cow. It's amazing.
A great week of college football, and the biggest game of the year at Penn State, Oregon Ducks, Penn State Nittany Lions. Everything.
What are you going to be doing for it? Where are you this weekend?
What's that?
Where are you this weekend? What are you doing for the game?
I am. I'm gonna have a few people over to the house about 8:30 p.m. on Saturday night in New York City.
FaceTime me a little bit.
I will. I'll get back from my game around 7. I'll be pulling right up, and we'll be rocking and rolling. Listen, I'll be wearing all white. I'll be ready.
Let's
to roll.
go. All right. I'm an 11 a.m. local kick here in Chicago, so it's like a mini bye week for me from a travel standpoint. I got the Bruins versus the Wildcats. So, yeah, I'm going to be parked on my couch all afternoon, all evening watching games. So, man, it's great to see you. Always great. I love doing these shows. To our viewers, we really appreciate you guys. Shout out to Dr. Pepper for the sponsor in the Fansville segment. We love it. Going to be reviewing these games next weekend and previewing another great slate after this, but got our hands full with some great matchups this weekend. So appreciate you guys tuning in. Give us some score predictions down in the comments. We'll see you next week.